All right, you guys. Been living in the DMs, talking to so many of you on Instagram, and a lot of you who are starting your fitness journeys. You're at that beginning phase, and really I'm like, you don't know what to do, and you're feeling lost, and you don't want to look stupid in the gym when you're starting. There's a little bit of fear of failing because you failed in the past at it. And so then you're afraid to go all in and start on yourself because your track record has been failing. And then when you think like that, though, that stops you from going and starting again because, man, last time I failed and the time before that I failed. And so I really don't want to go all in, so I'm just going to start nice and easy. Those are some of those thoughts that are going through our heads, and I totally get that because I was there. I was thinking about this after several weeks of like hearing a lot of the same stories with so many of you guys. And I was thinking about some of my early days of starting Run to Gun. And when we started Run to Gun, it was a health and fitness company based around getting hunters and outdoorsmen ready for these big hunts and outdoor adventures. We've since morphed into training specifically men to regain their authentic masculinity, to lose their man boobs, to lose their guts. But then I was really learning how to get in front of a camera, and this was all the way back in like 2011 and 12, years and years and years ago. And I went back and I looked at some of this footage of when I was filming. I went out to this project out on the East Coast. Ruger Guns had me out, and I filmed this entire, it was called Hunter Fitness back then, series for them. And I went out there, they had me prep this series for them, and I wrote it all out, and I knew, okay, how many videos we're gonna do. They had their film crew out, and I remember like writing it all out and just being like in my mind, like I was prepared to do this. I had the structure and the plan set out, and I went out there, and I got in front of the camera on the first day, and I was so frozen with anxiety, and so frozen with fear, and frozen with tripping over my words. And I thought I'd probably gonna get kicked off this shoot after the first hour when I sat there and I kept fumbling over the first 4 sentences of this entire weekend of shooting, and I couldn't even film the intro video because I kept fumbling over the words, and I got nervous, and then I fumbled over more words, and I got nervous, and then I felt stupid, and I felt so out of place. And I was thinking about this after I was talking to so many of you in the DMs, and I was like, oh, I was saying to a lot of you, like, yeah, you're unprepared. You don't have the plan. You haven't practiced what it takes to get better yet. And I was thinking back then on my journey, and I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that I didn't have it written out and I didn't have it ready to execute on, but I hadn't put in the reps yet. I hadn't put in that practice yet. And back then I only knew what I knew, right? And so I had it, laid out on paper, but before I went, it's not like I practiced the intro video 100 times or even 50 times or even 20 times. I just had it written out. And in my mind back then, that was enough to be prepared because that was enough. Anytime past that, when I went to college or when I went to high school and I had to give a speech or anything like that, that's all I had to do. It was enough to go stand in front of a few people, write it out one time, I could remember most of it, and I could wing the rest, and it was good enough. But when it came to something that I needed to perform better on, I wasn't prepared enough. I hadn't performed the reps over and over enough to get the result, which the result then was to make a great video for another company. And so as I'm thinking about you guys, it's like, man, we have to get the structure laid out in place. For you, if you're trying to get healthier, you're trying to get fit, you're trying to lose the man boobs, lose the gut. And it's okay that you're starting, and you might not perform the squat very well at the beginning. Your form is probably gonna be a little off. You're gonna get really sore. You're gonna have to work at it over and over and get fluid at it. Same with every single exercise. And you can't let that affect the long-term getting better. Because I was embarrassed in that moment, but the other people that were there weren't embarrassed. They were just there to film and get the job done. They were probably annoyed, but they weren't necessarily embarrassed. I was the one that was embarrassed. I was the one that felt unprepared. I was the one who wasn't ready to go. And that, though, left me knowing I had to do better next time. And so for you, maybe it's just one of those things where you're in the gym, you're like, yeah, this was just my first day. This was just my first week. This was just my first month. This was just my first year. And I'm going to keep on getting better. You're the only one that feels the way that you feel about yourself in the gym. When you feel self-conscious, when you feel unequivalent to somebody else, when you feel these ways because you're comparing what's going on in the gym, nobody's really even paying attention to you. And so the thoughts that you're going through are only going through in your own head. Nobody else is really thinking them. You have the occasional jackass in there that may be judging you, but nobody cares about them either. And so you just go in there and you know that, hey, I know I haven't put in the reps yet. I know I'm not totally prepared yet, but I know this is part of the journey that has to take place in order for me to get to step 2. And I have to fulfill step 2, phase 2, to get to step 3. There is no skipping over this in health and fitness or in any aspect of life. There just isn't skipping over it. And so we really have to put up with some of that phase. But when we can look back a little bit, like I'm looking back today on that journey, man, I'm like so grateful for that. I'm going to plug in some of this video. I have some of this video. I don't have all of it. I was looking for it today. But I wish I had like the raw footage of this and how I literally would just like say a couple words and I literally was frozen. My heart rate was so high. My palms were so clammy. I couldn't even speak. And I have some of these outtakes, and it's not even like, the outtakes aren't even as bad as what I wish I could show you the first 2 hours of this shoot. It was so epically terrible. And you guys, literally a year later, I went on and I went into a TV station and I pitched an idea for a TV show without even any footage to show them that I knew how to film, because I didn't even own a camera at the time. And I went in and I pitched this idea for a TV show, and they were like, this was in August, and they were like, yeah, can you have a season to us by January? So we start airing in January. Literally 5 months later, I'd come up with 13 episodes. And I didn't even want to, I walked out of that station and I told them yes. And I walked out and I sat in my car and I was like, oh, I don't even own a camera yet. What am I doing? But I figured it out. It was the first steps. And it started with sucking really bad. But you got better. And you put in reps, and I put in reps. And even those first couple of seasons, I look back on and I'm like, this is kind of sucky. But you can tell though, I'm getting better. And I look back, I'm like, yeah, you're improving. Because a lot of times we sit back and you're maybe trying to make that plan and you're like, maybe I'll lose a little weight first and then I'll go to the gym. Like I gotta get better at some things and then I'll go. Well, how are you gonna get better if you don't go? Like, I know, like we can justify things in our head. Like I work out from home a little at first, and sometimes that works. I get it. Like that's a real thing because you're putting in the reps. But if you're looking for that, I'm gonna gain some confidence first before I go, and you know, it's just not gonna happen. There is that forced growth piece where we have to force ourselves into these areas and these scenarios where we don't feel comfortable, where we don't feel even adequate, where we don't feel anywhere near prepared. But the reps every single day that you put in prepare you then for the next week. You build the foundational levels, and it prepares you for the next week to progress. And that week prepares you for that next week, the progress. And that's the day in and day out way that we improve. But it doesn't come without some of those beginning phases. And I look back at all these years of where I was extremely terrible. And I'm so glad that I didn't look back on that and let that day and let that whole weekend of filming stop me. It did the opposite. It made me go put in the reps to get better. Because I knew what I wanted. And I knew that even when I started the TV show, and we filmed that for 8 seasons, 8 years of filming that, producing it. And within all that, you know you're still going to have people look at you and not like it. or have to critique you. And even that first season of the TV show, it was literally like I had people in my ear at the gym all the time. Like they thought it was cool, but I should do this. And you should take this angle and do this. And I was just like, oh yeah, cool. And I'm like, I walk away, I'm like, no, like I'm gonna do what I know is good for me. And that's where, like, for you guys too, it's just like you have your goals, you know what feels right for you. And don't let the noise of society and the noise of even your own mind get in the way of what your soul knows you want. Because I hear it all the time in my DMs as well, is I don't have to be, very muscular. I don't have to get a six pack. And like, I get all that. We've talked about that on my channel. But when you're setting the bar lower than what it could be, if you set the bar down here, you'll never even get to here. You'll get to here. But if you set the bar up here, you're going to exceed to here. So why are you setting it here? And so if you set out to be like, you know what, maybe I kind of want to see some abs. And you're overweight right now. You're like, I'm going to set the big goal instead of I don't need to get some abs. I'm just going to get a little bit of shape. Like, you'll never even get a little bit in shape. But if you set the goal of, I'm going to try to get some abs, man. I'm going to go after this. Guess what? You're probably going to get in really good shape. And so don't let even the fear in your mind fool you of what your soul truly desires and wants. Because that is the day in and day out way that we have to continue to push through and continue on with our dreams, ambitions, and goals, and making sure that then we live a life that's lived beyond the linear confines of average. So I'm going to play a little bit of this footage right here. It's like a minute. Here's just some of the outtakes. I wish I could find the original first hour. That was terrible. But some of these outtakes, you can just tell I'm awkward and I'm not confident. I have no confidence in this. I'm just awkward. Check this out.
And 2, building a healthier lifestyle. Gosh, dang it. Struggling. Can't spit out this is like the easiest part of the whole weekend here.
An electrolyte powder.
Having a strong cardiovascular system, your heart will deliver more blood to your muscles. I'll start that one all over again. Now I'm gonna give you 2 more to work on today. 2 more very effective exercises. I saw you.
And lastly, protein. Every cell in your body is comprised.
Strength will be a main staple in your fitness program on your quest of having a successful hunt. That word's killing me. I'm gonna drop it. No more successful. You don't want to miss that opportunity to take that crucial shot. And by training, I should have threw that in already.
I mean, there it is. The first time really I'm in front of a camera. It's awkward, it's weird, but you get better. You put in reps. I have literally thousands upon thousands of hours with a camera in my face. Even on a TV show, tens and tens and tens and tens of hours to make a 20-minute TV show. Like, literally 50, 60, 70, 80 to 100 hours of footage for 20 minutes of TV show. And this is over the course of years and years and years. It's 2025 right now. And I've been filming myself since 2012. Like 13 years of documenting pieces of my life. Some of it that's never even been out there, and some of it I didn't care to ever talk about. There's years where I don't want to even look at a camera. But I've bought into the fact that I know the benefit to help others, to let others see a real person go through it and give you permission to go through it, and that you're not the only one. You're not the only one thinking the way you think. You're not the only one feeling the way you feel. And that you can go out and just continue to push through the struggle, because you're not the only one that has to push through the struggle. We all have to push through the struggle. You're not alone in that. And it's the beautiful part of the journey. And when you start realizing that that's the actual destination, is the journey, you'll stop just thinking about this ultimate destination where you're going to be happy. And you have to start finding and living in that joy and happiness every single day, and realizing that the process is the destination, because you have the ability to be in it today. And if you have the ability to change your mind today, you have the ability to change your life. Get after it and live beyond average.